Hey guys, Signorante here. How's life? Now, as many of you will already know, a while back I had the opportunity to interview Craig Vincent. Now, Craig Vincent is an actor who is in Martin Scorsese's The Irishman and Casino. Now, being a big Scorsese fan, it was a great opportunity for me. And who knows, maybe this could be a segue onto bigger and better things. I'm up in the big leagues now, lad. Hollywood, here I come. So I put some feelers out there, and no doubt very soon I'd be interviewing Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, Martin Scorsese himself, as we both chink glasses and slap each other's knees and laugh about the week's work. What a career to look forward to, interviewing all these great people. But of course, that didn't happen. I'm joking anyway. The interview with Craig Vincent was always going to be a one-off. We already had this relationship anyway. We spoke very shortly before The Irishman came out, and we had correspondence for a long time. And I remember ages ago I asked him if he wanted to do an interview, and he said no, because if I remember correctly he was kind of shy. And I respected that, and a while later he was open to it, so we did it and we released it. So it was very much a one-off thing. We already had that relationship. But there was an element of me that thought, you know what, if the opportunities arose, could I actually make this a thing? I've looked at interviews I've done, and I don't think I'm a terrible interviewer, so I did think to myself, if I try to get into contact with some people in the industry, could I actually land some interviews? So over the course of a couple of days, I did make a few attempts to contact some actors or directors here and there, and I got turned down by pretty much everyone. By the way, this video is not some kind of call-out video, like, oh, these guys turned me down. It's more of a case of, I just thought my subscribers might find this interesting, like how I managed to contact these people and what they said to me. If anything, I can completely see it from their point of view. If some random guy contacts them and for his own benefit as much as anybody else is asking for them to do an interview, I can of course see why they'd just be like, who the hell is this guy? And to be honest, pretty much everybody who I talked to, apart from one guy, was actually really polite and courteous and well-mannered. So the first actor is Bo Dietl. Now, Bo Dietl is an actor who has been in a few Scorsese films. He played the cop that arrested Ray Liotta in Goodfellas. He played Joe Glimco in The Irishman, and he played himself in The Wolf of Wall Street. So how I managed to contact him was, well, I know he's very well known outside of films. You know, being an actor isn't his main thing. And I knew he ran some kind of private investigator firm. So I did some investigating of my own. And I looked it up and I found out what it was, and I sent them an email saying, I'm looking to speak to your director, Bo Dietl. I'd be really interested in doing an interview. And I left it there, and lo and behold, maybe the next day, I got a reply back from Bo Dietl himself. So his own email, literally just saying, give me a call, here's my number. And I thought, whoa, that was easier than expected. And I remember that night I went home, and because you never know what it's going to be like when you talk to a celebrity, I like to think of myself as someone who isn't someone prone to being starstruck and who keeps it quite level-headed. I have spoken to a few celebrities in the past, and I've had conversations on the internet as well with Val Kilmer, for example, and with Dominic Lamodosi from The Wire. So I do like to think I wouldn't be starstruck, but you never know. So what I did was I wrote down a bunch of different stuff about Bo Dietl, like for example his book One Tough Cop. I wrote down Wolf of Wall Street, Goodfellas. I wrote down Bad Lieutenant, because the story in Bad Lieutenant is actually based on a case that Bo Dietl himself did when he was a cop. So I did all this stuff, jotted it all down just so I had the notes there while I was talking to him, just in case I ended up freezing or something. And so I remember there was noisy in my house, the kids and stuff, so I went out into my car and I picked up the phone and I put in the number, and I was there, and it was ringing and ringing and ringing, and then it just rang out, and I thought, okay, whatever, maybe it wasn't even a real number, who knows. And then I went back into my house and I was doing other stuff, so I was in a different frame of mind, wasn't thinking about interviews and all that kind of stuff. And then my phone started ringing, and I saved the number as Bo Dietl, so I see on my phone come up, Bo Dietl is ringing me. And even then I was a bit, I'm not quite ready for this. And I thought, what should I do? So then I answered it, and it's kind of funny because I know this sounds obvious, obviously, but he sounds exactly the way he does in the movies. And he was like, yeah, this is Bo Dietl, who is this? And so yeah, I ran through who I was and what I did, and I think I was anxious that any second he could put the phone down, thinking, forget this guy, who is this? And I was just like, singing around, interview, I think I was just like, my words were just like diarrhea just flowing out of my mouth. But he did kind of get the gist of it, and I was making it sound a bit more sexy than it was, saying like I run a video production company instead of saying, yeah, I'm a YouTuber who sits in his shed making videos. And I remember running down the stuff he's been in, and he enjoyed that. I was like, you've been in Wolf of Wall Street, you've been in Goodfellas, and he's like, yeah, I've been Godfather of Harlem, I've been in this, I've been in that. And so we had a bit of small talk about the roles he's done, the different kind of characters he's played. And then he kind of stopped me and said, okay, well, what is it you do with this? What is it you do? And I don't really like talking about myself. It's weird. I don't even like saying subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, all that kind of stuff. It's weird for me. It feels a bit egocentric. But I basically told them, I make videos and I put them out there for people to see, and I would be interested in doing an interview with you. And I was saying things like, and I genuinely believe this, that he's quite underrated in the sense that a lot of people don't know what kind of interesting life he lived. Like, he played himself in The Wolf of Wall Street, so the stuff that happens in The Wolf of Wall Street with his character, that's what he did in real life. And then you've got obviously One Tough Cop, and you've got the real events of Bad Lieutenant when he tracked down the rapists and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, there isn't really that much out there, any kind of interviews, any kind of extensive biographies where people actually talk about this stuff. So wouldn't it be cool if we did something together? And he liked the sound of it. He was really quite open to it. But then he asked the one question I was hoping he wouldn't ask, which was, he asked for money. And I still remember the way he said it. It was very cordial. He was like, give me money. It's something to remember to use in the future. He said, will there be a financial consideration? And this is where my inexperience, my lack of expertise showed, because that was the one thing I was hoping he wouldn't say. The way that I was trying to do it was that hopefully any kind of guy I might be able to contact for an interview would want to do it just to get his story out there, or maybe connect with his fans, that kind of thing, and through my YouTube channel, because obviously many of my subscribers are fans of the kind of movies Bo Dietl starred in. But if they ask for money, which of course they're entitled to, some random person is phoning them up asking for an interview, but when they ask for money, I've lost already, because there's literally nothing I can offer them. I'm just a random working man. What can I offer these Hollywood stars in terms of money that will actually satisfy them? But I should have probably anticipated him saying this and worded my answer better. But I think I just said something really stupid, just like, I was hoping no. And then his entire demeanor changed. You could feel it from the phone. He was thinking, oh, this guy's a waste of time now. And he was basically saying, well, I'd expect something like that, so thank you for the phone call, da 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 da. And then there's me desperately clinging on like a drowning person, saying, what would you be kind of looking for? And then he was like, well, you would need to make me an offer. And I was like, okay. And then we just kind of said our goodbyes, and he was very nice about it. He was like, you can call me anytime. I don't know if he blocked my number or something, but he was like, you can call me anytime, just get back to me whenever you can. And so that ended there. And I think I didn't phone back. I still have his number, but I think I sent an email offering something, but I didn't get no reply. But there's literally nothing. Some of these guys, they get paid hundreds and thousands of dollars for half-hour interviews. Money can't come into it for me, unfortunately. But yeah, that was an interesting experience at the very least. When The Irishman is on TV and someone in my house is watching it with me, and the part where Joe Glimco comes on, I can say, that guy, I spoke to him on the phone, do you know that? Well, really? But yeah, so yeah, that was Bo Dietl. Another one was John Fiore of the Sopranos fame. Now, he played Gigi on the Sopranos. This is probably the closest I ever got, and it was one that I really wanted to do, because it would have been such a cool opportunity to interview a really underrated character from the Sopranos in Gigi. There'll be a lot of questions that I wanted to ask him, and I've seen interviews he's done, and he seems like a really open guy, a really fun guy, and crucially, he's actually seen The Sopranos and has an interest in it. Some actors, they do their thing, they go home, they don't really have an interest in the movie or shows they're in, but he was very much into it from what I can see from other interviews. And with him, I contacted him on Instagram. And I actually did this with various different people. Most of them didn't get back to me. Most of them probably didn't see the message. But I was like, I make content on gangster movie stuff, on The Sopranos. I'd be really open to doing an interview with you. Many of my subscribers are huge Sopranos fans. It'd be a great opportunity for you, for them, for me. And he did actually message back. He was like, hi, I would very much be interested, but it would be a couple of weeks out. And he was like, thanks. And this was just before the new year. So I waited until the new year, and then I contacted him again saying, hey, are you still interested in doing this? And he was like, yeah, I'm very much interested. Happy New Year. And it was just about settling down on a date. And, there was a bit of back and forward. And then I remember him saying, I'll get back to you on when I can find a date where I'd be available. And he seemed very open, and I thought it was something that could generally go ahead. But then he just stopped messaging me. I don't know why. But I sent a few messages, and obviously you see on Instagram if somebody's online. And, I can take a hint. I'm not going to badger these guys. I'll ask. If they say no, I'll respect their opinion and what they want to do. But I did ask a few times, like, have you thought about any dates, or are you still interested in doing this? But he never got back to me, so I just kind of figured, oh, maybe, if he's lost interest, if he had any in the first place. I have a theory, because in between when I first contacted him and the later stages where I contacted him, a movie got released that won the Oscar for Best Picture, Coda, and he was in it. And I think that raised his popularity, and he started to do a few more interviews. He won a few awards, I think, a few minor awards for that. And possibly he went from someone who hadn't really been doing much and was open to doing an interview for free with a Sopranos fan to a stage where, he was now in a bona fide Oscar-winning movie, and doing an interview with me didn't really seem appealing. Maybe, but that's kind of something I have in my head that might be a possibility. So that opportunity went as well. Another interview that I really wanted to do, again, just like with John Fiore, was Dan Grimaldi. Dan Grimaldi played Patsy in The Sopranos, another really underrated character. And the way I contacted him was not through Instagram, because I knew that Dan Grimaldi was a teacher. He teaches in America, or he used to teach in America in university. I think you guys call them colleges. And I ended up tracking down where exactly he taught. A few Google searches here and there can get you far in life. I found out where he taught, and I found his particular email, his school email, and I ended up emailing him. I apologized initially, because obviously that's a different line of work. It's a bit rude to ask someone about an interview because of his acting as opposed to his teaching. But I sent him an email saying similar things to what I said to John Fiore, and again I was surprised that he actually replied back, and he said again he would be interested in doing this, but it'd have to wait until after the holidays. And I waited until after the holidays, and then I emailed once or twice back, but then no reply. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what happens to Sopranos actors after January. Maybe they're all still drunk from New Year's, who knows. But that was another one that just got away. Another Sopranos actor I contacted and who did reply was Joseph Gannascoli. Joseph Gannascoli is the guy who plays Vito Spatafore, and again this one was done through Instagram, and I sent him a message saying what I did and I'd be interested in doing an interview, all that kind of stuff, and he simply replied back saying, hi, thank you, I'm not actually doing any interviews right now, but thank you again. And I said, yeah, sure, fine, that's no problem, hopefully there'll be an opportunity in the future. And he messaged back saying thank you. And that was one I left alone for quite a while, and then I think maybe a couple of weeks or maybe a month later I did ask again, but no reply. But it's nice that these guys aren't saying piss off, who the hell are you. Every dealing I had pretty much was really nice. It's interesting, the actor who plays Carmine Jr. in The Sopranos, Ray Abruzzo, he was also somebody I contacted on Instagram, and after I did, I saw that he read my message. He didn't reply to it, but then he followed me on Instagram, which is kind of weird. I don't really know what to make of that. I'm assuming, or maybe hoping, that he watches my content, or he looks out for it, or he knows that this is somebody who's vaguely making Sopranos videos. I'll maybe keep an eye on him in the future. But it's kind of weird how he read my message, and from my message he followed my account, but then he didn't reply to what I was actually saying. I don't know. So the process of trying to get these actors to do an interview isn't exactly the most fun thing in the world. It's nice talking to them, it's nice having those replies and being able to say, hey, I talked to that guy, but it feels a bit like job hunting. There's a lot of effort involved and very few returns. And aside from a few others where I didn't get any replies, I just kind of stopped doing it. But it would have been cool, you know, to add a few more of these interviews onto my CV, put them on the channel, put them out there for you guys. Fury especially was one that I thought, you know what, this could actually happen, and this would be a great interview, because he seems like a really easy guy to interview, and he's got so many funny, funky stories from The Sopranos, and I knew my subscribers would love it, and it felt like I got close, but, you know, hey ho. There was one, two others. Off the top of my head, one of them was a man called Aiton Rockaway. Now, this is an interesting one. So, Aiton Rockaway was the director of Lansky, starring Harvey Keitel as Meyer Lansky, the famous Jewish gangster. Now, he watched a video I did on the movie. You know, I remember posting a picture of Harvey Keitel as Meyer Lansky on my community tab. It did really well. A lot of people were talking about it. A lot of people were saying, wow, I didn't know there's a new movie about Lansky coming out. So I thought, you know what, if there's a lot of people wondering what this is, I'll make a video on it. And I made a video on the movie Lansky, saying, you know, when it might be released, who it's being made by, what I kind of thought about the project. And the guy who actually made it, Aiton Rockaway, he saw my video and he contacted me via Twitter. And because I didn't exactly slate the film, but I just kind of thought it looks a bit cheap. I don't really think this is going to be good. I think it's going to be one of those, you know, because there's been a lot of gangster films that I just kind of C grade, D grade, not a lot of people watch. And he basically said to me, you know, he said it in a very respectful way. He was like, you know, no, you're wrong about the quality. It's a great film. Harvey Keitel is great in it. And I was like, okay, you know, fair enough. You know, he's standing his ground. He's being firm. And he said to me that, you know, if there's information coming out about the film soon, maybe even images or videos, you know, I'll send them over to you and you can put them on your YouTube channel. Obviously, he has a vested interest in this. It's publicity for his movie. But I thought, you know, that's pretty nice, a nice thing to do. I did ask him about things like, you know, what would be the release date and all this kind of stuff. And he did give me information which I put into the YouTube channels I've done on the video. Now, I did actually ask, would you be interested in doing an interview for the movie? And he basically gave me a reply which kind of told me that the answer was yes, as long as I gave his film a review first, and it was a good review. You know, he didn't, I think, say it in so many words, but that was kind of the insinuation I got. You know, if you like the film, you know, if your review of it is positive, I'll be happy to do an interview on your channel. And that, you know, that got me thinking. I thought, you know, this is probably a kind of crossroad that many people on YouTube, you know, who are into film and they have an opportunity to actually work with somebody in the industry, you know, they come to this point where they could potentially sell out, in a sense, if you know what I mean. So, because, you know, when it comes to my videos, I'm happy to say my opinions are my opinions. A lot of people haven't been happy with me not liking a certain thing or liking a certain thing that, you know, isn't the norm. But, you know, that's just my opinion, and that's what you guys are here for, my opinions, my analysis, all that kind of stuff. And I thought to myself, you know, this is a good opportunity here for me. If I just watch the film, and even if I don't like it, and I say it was good, he might, you know, do an interview with me. And I managed to interview the director of a film that starred Harvey Keitel as Meyer Lansky. Well, on the other hand, if I do that, you know, where's my integrity gone? Where's my honesty, you know, my sincere relationship with my subscribers, if I just start nilly-willy saying I like this, I didn't like that, because some things are going on behind the scenes where I have a vested interest to say I like a certain thing or say I dislike a certain thing. And I've seen this happen to other YouTubers. There's been people who I followed when I was up and coming and I was, you know, learning the YouTube ropes. I saw people I respected say opinions that I know they didn't have, because there were things, you know, happening under the table, an exchange of maybe money or an exchange of information, that kind of stuff. And so, you know, it wasn't a difficult decision. I just thought to myself, no, I'm not going to do that. If there's potential for an interview, that's great, but I'm not going to do it at the expense of my integrity. And so Lansky did come out, I watched it, and I didn't think it was terrible, by the way, but I didn't think it was great. And I said that in my review. I was like, you know, I listed faults that I found with the film. I think I gave it a 6 out of 10. You know, I thought, yeah, it's okay, it's not great. And Harvey Keitel was nice in it, but the film has issues. And so, you know, I put the review out there, and I think maybe a week later, I did actually contact Aiton Rockaway and said to him, you know, I released my review. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but would you still be happy for that interview? But he never replied, so I'm guessing he wasn't happy with my review. To be perfectly honest, you know, I'm not bigging myself up here. You know, I'm not a huge YouTuber or anything. But when it comes to crime films, you know, Senor, you know, my name is it's out there. It's very easy to come across one of my videos if you're searching up on something Sopranos or Goodfellas or something like that. And I actually think it was a missed opportunity for him more than it was for me, because my videos on Lansky, they got thousands of views, and Lansky's not a very famous film. If he had done interviews with me, I think there was an element where it could have actually, not by a huge amount, again, I'm not, tooting my own horn here, but it could actually help publicize his film just a little bit, push it out there. But, that's something that didn't happen. Speaking of Aiton Rockaway, one of the guys who was in Lansky and someone who's a friend of Rockaway, Danny Abekasa, is someone I actually contacted. Now, I don't know if a lot of you guys know, but Danny Abekasa is a film director himself. He was actually in The Irishman, by the way, Scorsese's film. He played the deadbeat that De Niro has in a headlock, and who lies about having to pay for his mother's funeral. Now, he found my YouTube channel first, and he told Aiton Rockaway about it, and then Aiton Rockaway contacted me. Now, Rockaway asked me if he could give my email to Danny Abekasa. Now, I actually reviewed a film Danny Abekasa directed called Mob Town, and that was a film I absolutely trashed. And in particular, I trashed him because because he was in it. He starred himself in it as well as directing it, and I said he was terrible in the movie. And I said to Rockaway, you can give my email address to him, but I knew what was going to come, and he ended up just ripping into me, saying that I'm wrong and da-da-da-da-da. And I've actually made an entire video on this. It's I think the entire thing is kind of funny and childish, but he wasn't happy with my thoughts on the film. But he was another one where I just thought, this has been an interesting, good experience talking to all of these guys, putting some feelers out there. It's probably kind of a bit dull because it's so hard to get the results, so hard to actually nab down someone for an interview. But it's been an enjoyable experience, and I just thought, why don't I give Danny Abekasa a bell? And I sent him an email as well asking, do you want to maybe do an interview? But again, as expected, he didn't get back to me, no. But yeah, check out that video. It's an interesting back and forward between me and him. So yeah, I just thought you guys might find this interesting, with the methods I use to kind of contact these guys. It's pretty easy actually, we live in a very small world now. But yeah, the Craig Vincent interview was always going to be a one-off, but at the same time, you still have to say it is a bit disappointing that I just wasn't able to nab down any of the others. Maybe I should give Bo Dietl a ring again sometime soon. But yeah, I just thought you guys might find this video interesting. I find it interesting to tell. It's nice to see that none of these guys, the Sopranos actors especially, didn't start effing and swearing when they were very polite and cordial. So yeah, thanks for watching.